I'm the Commissar. We're watching Forged Alliance forever, and you might have wondered, how many units does it take before it counts as spam? Can you spam experimentals? There are so many on the map today that we might just find out. Let's get started. And what a lot of players we have to introduce today. We have the North team up here, we have the South team down here, and each team has no fewer than 7 players on it. Let's start with the North team. Up here in their flank position we have ExtraMassBlocker, 1419 rated, and Seraphim. He's in red. Moving along we have the North team's highest rated player. This is WilloWisppsi, whom we're going to call Willow today. He's 2205 rated, he's playing Eon in baby blue. In front of him we have Lieutenant Reed. Lieutenant Reed is 1406 rated, he is also Eon and he is in dark green. Going to the back, North team's air position is held by SabDex, 1314 rated and UEF, he's in grey. The other forward position is held by the lowest rated player on North team at just 673. This is bullishcoder, we're going to call him Coder today. He's Cybran and he's in brown and he's opened first air, which is an interesting start for a forward player. Also opening first air is MF88KI, who I'm going to call MF today. He is 1158 rated, he's also UEF and he's in dark blue. Quick check about like nobody else had a first air start. No, they didn't. And last but not least, on the other flank for North team we have AureliaLightpaw, 1589 rated, and Cybran. They are in cyan. Let's go and see who's on the South team. Out here on the flank and already moving to assume a flank position, we have ActiveBacklash, who is 1498 rated, and Eon, they're in white. Next to them is their highest rated player. This is Azuros, who is 2139 rated. He is UEF in pink. Moving forward here, their forward player is Plum. Plum is 1420 rated and Cybran, and he is in mauve. In their air position, and I can't even see where their com's gone, he must be heading forward already, or there he is in the distance. This is Barekat. Barekat is 1214 rated and Eon, and he's in purple. The other forward position is in a similar mirror matchup held by South team's lowest rated player. This is AsimutS, who is 788 rated and UEF. He's in the other brown. Which brown? No, he's in orange. What am I talking about? He's in orange. I obviously can't see colours today. Last but not least, here's the comm, but his base is way back there. This is JimJackJay. JimJackJay is 1027 rated in Cybran in burgundy. And last but not least, already very far forward, this is MSG. MSG is 1760 rated in Seraphim in mucus brown. Quick look at the map. It's very, very open. There are these rocks in a sort of fairy ring around the centre, but that's about it apart from reclaim. So not a great deal of reclaim, but these expansions here, 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 and mirrored around the other side are going to be very important in this game. Now, interesting thing to note, the racial mix-up is exactly equal to Cybrans, 2 UEF, 2 Eons, and 1 Sera on each team. So that's going to be well balanced there, and MSG is showing our earliest signs of aggression. He's out here, and he's already at this expansion here, and if we look at the opposite expansion over here, Aurelia isn't even close with their comm. Not sure here what has achieved Coder to go first air, because he's got some units out, but he hasn't really got any bomber work done. He's building his land factories at the front line. Not sure what the first air really achieved there. Same for MF. It doesn't seem like they've really done much with it, but maybe I'm wrong. Please tell me if you saw whether they had some sneaky plan in the comments below. And we've got AsimutS, who started gun pretty early in the back of his base. I don't normally do that. I tend to wait until my comm's a bit forward to do that, because it means I've got the power to fully afford it, and the time that I didn't have it, the comm spent walking to get himself somewhere he could use the gun, as we've seen done by these two guys. Plum and SabDex have both walked forward, and they're getting gun in a position where they can engage. And they'll need it because Lieutenant Reed is up here ready for a fight. Obviously, SabDex and Plum definitely spoiling for a fight there. And could MSG have overextended a bit, because we've got both MassBlocker and Willow coming to push him back. And he hasn't really got much spam here. He's been forced to abandon his factory. And we've got two comms coming in on him. They're all naked, so just two comms v1 with a little bit of extra spam from Willow. I know where my money is in this fight. Quick check on Barekat down here. He's dropping the rocks in mid, while Backlash is not really advancing. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong guy. I meant to look at these engineers who are dropping these delicious rocks for Barekat to reclaim, which, as we mentioned, is pretty much the only reclaim on the map. And if those engines can get those rocks, they've paid for themselves. Look at that, 137 reclaim already. Willow gets the gun as MSG falls back. MassBlocker assisting Willow. MSG trying to set up here. He's got some spam here. He's got production here. Will it be enough to drive back a second comm though? I don't know, as MassBlocker will also have all that spam in here. This is quite a lot. And with the gun upgrade finish, I'm pretty sure Willow is going to finish their gun upgrade first. What with the assistance from MassBlocker. Only 23% done for MSG, so this could be a problem for MSG. But in the middle, we have Lieutenant Reed and Plum fighting out, and Plum might be about to go down, because Reed's just got more. He's got the gun upgrade, so has Plum. But there's spam also helping out from Coda, and Coda is gonna do the business. Plum in the red and falling. I think he's going down. Under 1,000 hit points left, and he hasn't got a chance. Reed is just in the green. Boom. Plum is our first ejection, but we got to go straight over here, where Willow with the gun and MassBlocker are pushing in on MSG, and MSG has not finished the gun yet. His spam is being cut up, and both the comms here are focusing him. MassBlocker has enough spam to take out MSG's spam, and MSG hasn't finished the gun. MSG is just going to die here unless something amazing happens. And running away is not going to be amazing enough with these two guys both in range. MSG is taking fire from both these comms and the spam. Obviously the North team are not keen to commit the spam here because they're dying the comm bomb. AsimutS comes in to help out and does force a bit of a reposition from MassBlocker, who is still naked and in the yellow. AsimutS in the green, but it's not enough for MSG. MSG is going down, 100 hit points, and boom! MSG is our second casualty, and we've now had 2 ejections from the southern team. But that could be nice, but it also means that Azuros, who is 2100 rated here, is going to have 3 bases to sit on, which is going to be pretty nice in terms of eco management for the southern team. Over here, though, we have Backlash. He's trying a run bite into Aurelia's mass production, but there's a T2 turret up here with that run by isn't going to get much done. He has, however, managed to colonize this expansion, which matches up to the expansion here that we can see on the minimap that Willow and MassBlocker just took from MSG, so pretty even map controls at this stage. And we've got 2 fights going down. Let's split screen. Here on the left, quick check on where Plum and Coda have more than enough to defend their comm, so we're going to look over here where AsimutS is pushing in, perhaps unwisely, on 2 enemy comms who have some spam. But over here, so we might need to see another ejection here. Would that be good for South Team? Maybe, actually, given Azuros. Over here, though, we have Backlash with range and sensors pushing in on Aurelia, who is naked. And Aurelia has got this turret up, but this is a decent amount of spam from Backlash. And Backlash might herd Aurelia back even further up here. Over here, AsimutS is taking fire from Willow, who has the gun. And Azimut is falling back. Azimut does now have a gun actually now, so not too terrible for them. Over here we see Backlash definitely getting in. They're going to take out this factory. Aurelia is going to be forced back. And Willow is falling back away from Azimut. I don't think he wants to claim the kill at this time. Instead, he's going to assist MassBlocker to Nano. Here in the middle, we have Barekat, who has T2 on him and sensors. He's trying to set up a firebase here, but it looks like Reed has other ideas. He's got this RT in there trying to disrupt the point defenses going up. And unless Barekat's careful, he could lose quite a lot of this build power here, but don't worry, JimJackJay is in here with his comm clearing up the arty. Willow has taken a bit of damage in the fight with Azimut, and MassBlocker isn't that undamaged himself, and Azuros is supporting that with bombers. T1 bombers from Azuros, T1 bombers from Azimut coming in and trying to lay down extra damage on Willow. But with both of these, actually MassBlocker doesn't have gun yet, he's just desperately trying to heal himself. However, Willow has pushed back Azimut and he's got enough spam here probably to deal with it. Over here we've got Aurelia and Backlash both coming in the middle, repositioning away from their fight over here to try and get work done. But as Aurelia moves to the middle with their rhinos, their T2 tanks, Backlash repositions back and his comm still over here, could get some work done. What have we got going on elsewhere? It looks like SabDex is preparing to come forward, getting Nano on the comm. And getting Shield. That looks like we're expecting to see a comm drop soon. I hope it goes somewhere interesting. What else have we got? Well, here comes Backlash coming back with his army, ready to push in on Aurelia. And Aurelia is repositioning back with their army ready to defend, but there's T2 point defenses here. There's stealth fields protecting T2 tanks here. I think that I don't think that Backlash is going to get much done if they push forward at this stage. And we've got T2 going down on MassBlocker now. And why did I leave that up? There we go. We've got T2 going down on MassBlocker now, so maybe they're planning to set up a bit of firebase as well. Bit of posturing in the middle. Nothing of great interest going on right now. Extra range for Backlash. That combos well with the sensors, though they don't have the raw firepower that somebody who also had the speed upgrade would have. And Azuros is going through a shield field. We don't normally see that. That's quite interesting. So that implies that he's planning to support this decent mass he's got here of pillars. Pillars are pretty tough. Protected by a comm with a shield field, T2 and gun. That could be a formidable force indeed. And over here, MassBlocker has finished his T2 and he is putting up a shield. Willow's still quite damaged, but he's going to have to do something. There we go, he's putting on a shield as Azimut pushes forward. And, well, we wondered where SabDex was going with its comm. We can see on the minimap that where he's going is right here. He's coming in to help out Willow with that comm, and that comm is tough. That comm has a gun, a nano, and a shield, and can easily tank its way through this lot. Whereas Azimut only has a gun and is already in the yellow, so this could be Azimut going down. Our third ejection from the southern team as Willow spam comes hovering in to help, and a shield comes in to protect SabDex. There's no way Azimut is getting out of this. Look at that, and he's not even going to breach SabDex's shield, let alone threaten the comm. Boom! Down goes Azimut. So now we have 7 players in the north, yes, 7, against just 4 in the south. And on the one hand, that's a big APM advantage, but on the other hand, letting a 2200 rated player sit on 4 bases is a big risk in my opinion. Backlash, we saw him get that gun range upgrade, and he's pushing in on Aurelia, denying this T2 point defense. So Aurelia goes to the stealth field to boost their survivability. But this is a decent number of Obsidians, which are, in my opinion, the second best T2 land unit after Ilshi's. This is a big army with Backlash. He is gonna be doing some real damage to Aurelia here. Aurelia does have this point defense to fall back to, but 1 point defense against this force I don't think is going to survive. And at the same time, we've got Azuros pushing in over here. They're close enough that I'm not going to split screen it. I'm just going to watch them here and here. And this is Azuros with his shield, with his shield field, with his gun, and his huge number of pillars, and this forward base of MF is not in a position to survive, and there is a lot that Aurelia could lose here to these Obsidians from Backlash. Now I happen to know at this stage that Reed is about to resign, so let's keep that on the screen so we can prove that he doesn't actually get sniped. He's going to resign. It doesn't really affect much. But this is where we have to be watching. Look at Aurelia losing these mass points. There goes Reed. See, he just resigns. And now back to what we care about. Presumably he was called away for some reason. These things happen, and when you're in a 7x7 game, you can't really avoid it. We do have a strat out here defending for SabDex, but picking off pillars, not super great. Maybe if it could take out Backlash, who doesn't have any defensive upgrades on his comm, that could work. And he does hit Backlash there, but Aurelia is now going to be pushed down by these pillars. We do have to note over here that we have this shenanigan going on with posturing from Azuros Ilshi's versus MassBlocker's Ilshi's, but Aurelia is where we have to look. The pillars from Azuros have come over to join the fight, although Aurelia does have loyalists out just in support of them. It's not going to be enough. This is a lot of pillars, and Aurelia is going down. Look at this. Really? There we go. Boom. The pillars go out. The strat is trying to hit Backlash, who is now down into the yellow, but we have an air response. However, is it going to be enough of an air response? Because this is all inties, and there's ASFs in there from SabDex, and Backlash is taking damage to this strat here. Good dodge there. Good dodge means he doesn't take much in the way of hits. Is that strat going to come back? And Willow's inherited, but given Aurelia's base to MF. What happened to that strat? Where'd it go? There it is. So he's decided not to try and push the kill on Backlash at this stage. He's falling back. More aggressive upgrades going down on Jim, who has Nano now. Some people might say it's a little late in the game for aggressive upgrades on the comm unless you're going like full double gun, double nano. But Jim obviously disagrees with you, whoever you may be. The strat is back out in defense, but this time it's going for the Obsidians rather than for trying to hit Backlash's comm or his eco. I think that, given that they've got a strat they can use, it should be coming down here and trying to pick off these mexes here, which will be a lovely pickup, but SabDex prefers not to use it that way. It's coming in now, but that looks like it's going... that looks like it's going here, which is a mistake. There's a lot of flak in there. First shot will be blocked by the shield, and the strat just goes down to the flak, so that was a wasted strat from SabDex, I would say. Overall, South Team are slightly ahead in eco, but it looks like North Team do have the map control back, with Backlash pushing all the way down here and taking this area, whereas we definitely don't have the same level of map control here for the South Team. And while there's a nice amount of Perseus here for Azuros, Willow does also have T3 in the middle. However, I do think Azuros has more here. Look at these Perseus and these Perseus, and Perseus are better than halves one-on-one. I like the stealth support for them, meaning that Willow won't be as easily able to fire back, and those Harpies are going to go down. Willow is going to have to fall back here. And Jim moves across to support Azuros' army. Still only posturing over here, lots and lots of Ilshis, but not really enough to get any work done. The mobile missiles might do some work, taking out these mexes, that would be nice, but the shield fields are moving over to protect. And Coda is pushing in with his T2 and some T1, but there's enough defensive forces here that he's not really going to get any work done against Backlash, I don't think. Air check. Who's winning on air? We've got T3 pigeons up, but we don't have a great deal of T3 out for Barekat, whereas we know that there's a decent number of ASFs for SabDex, so North team definitely have the lead on air. Over here, Azuros has given this army over to, forgotten his name, Backlash, and that would be pretty good because there are these bricks from MF, but with this army for Backlash could absolutely get damage done here, probably taking out a lot of these mexes if he uses it soon, so I do hope to see that going down. Jim has had his army join Azuros over here, and there is still this posturing, but no actual work done. Is there much reclaim here to pick up? A little bit? Not a great deal. There is an NG here that could do some work eating it up, but he's more interested in point defense. I would be interested in tactical missile defense, given what I know and what they know is up here. We have a cheeky little run-by attempt from Coda. That could get work done if it sneaks around here, because this army is still a little way away, and there's only a few obsidians here, so if Coda can get down here, he could do some pretty decent mex damage against these Cat T2 mexes. Is that his... Oh no, that's not his plan. Look at the order. He's trying to hit this firebase from the side, but this is a firebase. It's got a comm in it. It's got an army in it. What do they know? And they do know that this army is coming across over here, so this is a big mistake from Coda. He is going to lose all this basically to free, and he's not going to get any damage done against the shield and against this army. Yeah, look at that. This is very sad if you're supporting the North team right now. But with this work here from Azuros, I would say that map control is about back to even Stevens across this line, right through the middle. And there's our first experimental. Willow has got a GC up and running, or at least slowly stomping forward, and you can see there that he has got a line of them queued. Willow has started on GCs, and he is not going to stop. And there's no experimental pressure in the south as yet, and if that GC just comes down the middle, with Azuros having gifted this army over here, there's actually not that much to stop it. However, Azuros is sending a wave of scouts out, and he is going to see that GC. Do they still have it on? Yes, they know exactly what it is, and that it's coming for them. So Azuros is going to have to come up with some sort of reaction to that. Backlash in particular could do damage if he went in here. Look at that. How many Percies is that for Backlash? That is 14 Percies. That could utterly mash this if he moves in, but he's choosing not to yet. I suppose his comm has the sensors and can come forward and see it. Now Jim has finished a monkey, which might help to defend against that chicken against that GC, which is where now? Which is here. But one, GC beats monkey one-on-one, and two, that monkey's quite a long way away, so he might actually do better to send it north to join this army. Actually, no, this army is coming across from Azuros to fight the chicken. I keep saying chicken, I keep meaning GC. You're gonna have to forgive me for that, because I'm not going back and editing it. Over here, we have Jim and Barekat retreating from the front lines. This is ever so sensible, because that GC would kill them, and Jim has been given a transport by Barekat. They're both going to come in and fly their comms out of there. I like that. There's ASFs on standby to protect, because that GC is not very far away now. We have Coda sending units to help, we have Willow sending his T3 spam, and this army from Azuros is still quite some way away. There's a decent amount of point defense, but a GC is going to mash that, and here we can see that both Barekat and Jim are flying right to the back of their base. Back to the GC though. Seems like Willow is a little worried by the amount that Azuros is bringing in, but we've also got this army coming down here, and Azuros has had to fall back to defend against it, so there's not too much to stop the GC. And nevertheless, the GC is falling back. And while it's facing away from him, Azuros is taking the opportunity to chase it. And that could give time for whatever Azuros just built. Here's that monkey, it has come in to defend. They're going to be able to regroup here, and that is probably enough for a match for that. Plus whatever Azuros just built. But Azuros built a chicken, an actual chicken, not a GC, which is going in over here, and that would definitely turn the tables on this side. We can see on the minimap here that the GC and Monkey and T3 Force here are moving back and forth but not really engaging. This is where I think the fight is going down next. Okay, I take that back, maybe they are both engaging. Again, this GC is facing in what seems to be the wrong direction as Azuros comes in behind it with a big bunch of Perseus, and Perseus are the best T3 units for taking on experimentals, in my opinion. Possibly better even than sniper bots, depending on how well they're managed. And this GC is taking the fire. Willow is bringing in an army to support, but look over here, as Azuros moves forward, he's got the chicken, he's got the army, he's got Jim supporting him. And this is also quite poor positioning in a long string here from MassBlocker. He's gonna take damage. Down goes the GC on the right for Willow, but he's got another one coming in. However, we've got the monkey also from Jim to support Azuros Perseus. How's this fight going to go? On the left, the chicken is pushing forward and MassBlocker is falling back. We saw a notification that MassBlocker's just finished an XP, so presumably that's what he's falling back to. Over here, both Backlash and Jim and Azuros are being careful of this GC, but it's only one GC and there's not much T3 left here. So I think this is a fight they should probably take now rather than later. The damage from this army is absolutely brutal. MassBlocker is losing so much to the push. Where's his experimental? I can't see it yet. Over here, the GC and the monkey engage, and the GC does beat the monkey. Look how fast the health is shedding off the monkey, but when there's this much T3 to support, that might change up matters. The shield goes immediately down, but look at this, look at this. That GC is taking fire, but Willow has brought in more T3 of his own, and that could make the difference. The monkey goes down, and the GC is in the red. However, there's not much left for Azuros in this fight. GC, just 9,000 hit points left. It's still somewhere off a vet. That GC is going to go down if it takes another Percy shot or two. Down it goes, but Willow's still got this army here. Up here, the chicken that we saw the notification for, built by MassBlocker, is now engaging the chicken from Azuros. And it's going to go down. Backlash is bringing in an army here. The chicken survives for Azuros, but only for a second. However, we've still got this army here, and Jim's got his army sweeping in from the side, doing all this damage. Nice little raid up here, but back to where the main fight is. Over here, the army from Backlash comes in. Is it going to push any further? But there's another GC from Willow coming towards Backlash's army, but Backlash has a GC as well. Look at the Iron Storm damage, and Jim's going to lose a lot to those Iron Storms. SabDex has brought in gunships for defense, and I think that's going to save it. But this little couplet of Ophiums and Ilushi, while this fighting here is going on, there's nothing really to stop them taking out this eco here for MassBlocker, and that could hurt them a bit because there's still a little bit of Jim's that survived his SabDex gunship defense. SabDex goes straight for these, and that's the right call. Up here, the force advances, and Willow is taking damage, but we've got units coming in from the side here. Mobile missiles to deal with the snipers, and bricks to deal with everything else from MF. It's not going to put off Backlash though. damage being done to the eco. However, this has been repelled, but at what cost? Look at that, there's thousands and thousands of reclaim there. Anyway, back to watching this, where Willow has, of course, yet another GC coming in here, and this one's already damaged, but it's got a big army supporting it. Will MF's army be able to get there in time and help out? Just look at the amount of extra damage from the snipers and from the Percies that this GC is taking. Obviously this GC is going down, and this one will probably vet off it, but it's in the red, it's in the red, it goes down and gets a vet, but it's still in the red, and that goes down. Yet another of Willow's unceasing chain of GCs goes down, as MF also builds an experimental unit. And what's he built? He is UEF, so it's probably a fat boy. Can't see it, but it's probably a fat boy. There it is, we've got a fatty coming forward, as the next GC is already rolling off Willow's production line. That is mad. And this army has fallen back a bit, as Azuros also brings a fatty forward, and these bricks are not going to be enough to deal with both the fatty and this army from Backlash that he's brought sweeping around. Whereas this fatty, however, I think it's easily going to break this through, unless we get a rapid response here, because the fatty outranges the snipers, if I recall correctly. Wait, are there even any snipers in there? That's, oh yes, there's like one. But that's mostly Harbies, and they're pushing in an effort to stop the fatty, but the fatty is just going to kite back, and these bricks will be more than enough to stop it. So this is going to be a problem for Backlash. We do have another army with 2 chickens from Azuros pushing in on MassBlocker on the other side. And over here there is a chicken from MassBlocker in defense, but that's easily and quickly going to die. However, Willow is sending one of his GCs back to help out. Decent amount of snipers in here, and now it's just the chickens. These snipers plus this GC might be enough to stop them if they're microed well. And Azuros seems to agree, he's falling back, he's not going to take this fight any further. And Backlash has completely lost his position now to the fatty. Nothing he can really do. He's responding with banks and banks of T2 static arty. That is generally the accepted counter to fatties, so he's not doing anything wrong, and he's gridding it up so that he can then surround it with T1 pigeons to make it far faster. But he's got to get it up quickly, because this fatty will be in range in not too long. Is he able to see where it is thanks to Omni? Yes, he is. Good, so that at least is not going to be a problem. I would also consider some T3 mobile arty in here to help out against the fatty, but he hasn't gone for that at this stage. Willow's got GCs coming in the middle again. Azuros is kiting them with the fatty, and we have got these bricks coming in from Coda to help out. They might get some damage done, but I think there's enough from Azuros here to defend the fatty, and the fatty is just going to kite back. It's getting damage done on the GCs. And Willow falls back with the GCs. Over here we have yet another push. If you don't succeed with 2 chickens, try it with 3 chickens. In they come. We do still have that chicken here from, I've forgotten his name for a moment, MassBlocker, that's the fella. Ooh, as he was deciding not to take it, I think that, I mean, does he know what's there? Yeah, he does. I think he's got enough to take that. I think he should do that, but of course he's 2200 rated, 2100 rated. So he knows a lot better than I do what he is doing. Now with 2 fatties in mid, Azuros feels he's able to creep forward, but the fatty here from MF is still doing work. And there is a GC here, but the one fatty can beat a GC if it's kited properly, and it could well be kited properly. Maybe Backlash is hoping to distract with these harbs while the GC zigzags in to do the damage. And since this fatty is still advancing, it's planning to come all the way to here. It's trying to get within range of the RT. That might just work. If that GC can just... Why is it falling back? If that GC can come in here while the fatty is focusing on the RT, it could have got it. But no, it's standing still. This feels terrible, my dudes. Terrible. That said, the RT is getting through and the fatty's shield is down. The fatty feels it has to fall back, though its shots are now landing on the RT. In the middle, what are we seeing? Well, there are now 3 GCs from Willow, but the 2 fatties from Azuros are holding them back, and as if that wasn't enough, we have 4 chickens and a crab. This is a massive horde of experimentals, and the 2 extra chickens from MassBlocker aren't going to be enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, there's more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 experimentals here in the middle, all absolutely laying down the damage. This is amazing. MF now has a second fatty, and he's advancing, and this GC was badly managed by Backlash, and it's going to die if it tries to do anything. And with the second fatty there's nothing it can hope to do. However, the fatties can't really advance until they do something about this heavily shielded Firebase. By the way, I don't know if you guys know, but since the latest patch, you can finally... Eon couldn't upgrade their shields from T2 to T3, had to build them separately, and that's been the case since the first version of SupCom until now. Finally, Eon can upgrade their T2 shields to T3. I never really understood why not, but now they can. The fatties are engaging here. 2 from Azuros, 1 from Willow, and I know who my money's on if it's 2v1. Down goes the shield on Willow's fatty, but suddenly the 3 GCs come in. This fatty has to kite back, and these fatties now have to worry about the GCs rather than the other fatty. Both fatties take damage. Azuros loses one of his, and that could hurt. But I don't know if Willow's... I think Willow's might actually survive there. The GCs are falling back until there's more mass, and look at this force of experimenters. That is no fewer than 6 chickens and a crab. We have sweeping in from the side. Is this experimental spam? Is this actually just swarming the enemy down with experimentals? Willow loses his fatty, so it's 1 each, but now we have these 5 chickens coming in. And this is an interesting choice for Azuros. He's not going to try... I keep saying chickens, I mean GCs. 5 GCs coming in. This is an interesting choice from Azuros. He is not going to face these 5 GCs with his 6 chickens. Oh no. He's sending the 6 chickens up to push on MassBlocker, while he relies on his Percies and his fatty to defend against the 5 GCs. That's a courageous choice, but it's a choice he's going to make. And over here we can see that this is just going into an all-out chicken attack as the GCs push in on the other side. Well, yes. Anyway, here, in come the 5 GCs. These chickens are just now massive iron storms, and that Mega's going to have to get out of there, but there's 1 chicken survived. We'll check if it does any damage later. The GCs are now getting in range of the fatty, and this fatty is going down. How are they going to stop these 5 GCs? Over here, we have the 2 fatties that have got within range of the line of RT, and there's just not enough to stop them. These fatties, I think, will break through despite the RT counter. Down goes this fatty, and there are still 5 GCs, and what is South Team going to do to stop them? And as if that weren't enough, this is RT fire. This is T3 RT fire from Backlash, and you know what it's targeting? It's targeting a nuke that Willow's got, so we're definitely getting into the long-range endgame units coming out here at 37 minutes. But this is what I'm interested in. Azuros is going to lose this little clutch of T3 mixes to a GC, although it's very heavily damaged. Azuros has 4 GCs coming in here, and the chicken engages 2 of them, but 2 GCs, 1 chicken. Know where my money's at there. And what can Azuros really do to stop it? We have a couple of restorers coming in, but 2, 3, 4 restorers against 5 GCs? That's not going to be easy for Azuros to stop. And how much eco is he going to lose? At the moment, they are actually ahead still in eco, and they're a full Mavor's worth of eco ahead, 300k mass. They've got a 300 mass per tick lead, but this is going to be a problem as Azuros is having to defend with Raz SCUs. Sure, they can lay down damage, but against the GC, Raz SCUs are expensive. Not only do they cost a lot to make, but they are a big part of his eco, and Azuros is shedding eco right now. The air fight goes down above their heads as... I've forgotten his name. Barekat turns everything onto gunships to try and stop these GCs. And this GC is going to go down as the fatty tries to kite it. And the fatty actually just about survives. These 2 GCs are dead, but at what cost? And that doesn't even tell us about these GCs. 3 of them still surviving, who are walking in towards this emissary artillery piece. We'll check back on it in a second as we have the Mega from Jim and an army from Azuros stopping this chicken that we see from MassBlocker, and there's some potential for a push here, but what is that trio of GCs doing to Backlash's base? Well, he's got a GC coming in to help, but these were already damaged, so this might actually get something done. But he's not going to finish that. Down goes his power, down goes his arty. That is so much pain. So much pain as in swarm the gunships, and that is a lot of gunships from Barekat. And they're trying to take out the GC, but the GC, this one is on full health. They should focus that one first, and it's being pung. And Barekat is down, and Backlash is down. I've been absolutely messing up the names today. You're going to have to forgive me because, like I said before, I'm not going back and re-recording that. Backlash is down, and there are now only 3 players left on the southern team. And the GCs are splitting up, which makes it hard for the gunships to take them out, and this one is the one that they have to stop first, because this is the more threatening one, and this one, the more damaged one, is just going to have free reign on this expansion here with mixes, while it may be into the red, but they can't afford to divert the gunships to stop it. And Azuros is responding with a fatty, a chicken. He's going to have more coming up, but he has lost so much, and look at this. They lost 400 mass gen in that attack. That is an immense attack. You can't see my hand gestures, but they're emphasizing how immense the attack is. As down goes this GC, that was wild, and if anything is going to signal a turning point in favor of the North team, that is going to be it. South team had the momentum early, but where's the momentum now? I would tell you it is in the weight times the velocity of these 2 fatties, which are chundering forward. Is that even the word I want? I suppose fatties can sort of... No, when fatties excrete things, they excrete them from their behind, so that's more like defecation than chundering. However, the supposed biology or otherwise of a fatty aside, this GC is just walking away into places where it can be reclaimed by North team, and Barekat doesn't want to take the fight. He's going to fall back, and that's quite right, because these gunships are going to die to the ASF from SabDex unless Barekat can take the fight. And he does. That's not bad. That's not bad. The restorers will help out. A lot of gunship pressure now, and I do think that we still have air control for Barekat, so this could work. If you can take up these fatties, which have been one of the biggest problems that South team have had, he could get real work done, and South team could begin to make a bit of a comeback, as it were. But this is the next threat they have to worry about. And there's that nuke we mentioned earlier. Where's it firing? It is firing here, and I do not think that there is any strategic missile defense around here. Azuros agrees. I think he's scouted where the nuke might be going, or otherwise guessed, because you can see that these guys are moving away from the area. These guys are advancing, and this should be more than enough of a force to handle this, especially after the air has done its work. But there's the nuke. Boom. cinematic shot as the base explodes. And do you remember when the South team had 2k mass protect compared to 1.7k for North team? Well, now that difference is reversed. 600 mass protect lost in the last few minutes for South team. That is horrifying. And we have a vast amount of Corsairs out. What are they going for from SabDex? Are they going to try and stop this mega? That seems like where they're headed. But don't forget that, yes it is, but don't forget that I think South team still has the air lead, and they will kill a mega, but is it worth it for that amount of Corsairs? You might say yes, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you. But look at the air damage that South team is able to get done. This GC is going to be forced back, and I think that will enable Azuros to take this fight, where otherwise these GCs might have swung it. We do have a cheeky monkey coming in from Coda. And we have a Novax here, which is having fun out there, but it hasn't really achieved much, I don't think. That said, it's killed 34,000 mass, so who am I to judge? I missed where it was going earlier. If any of you saw on the minimap, do tell me, but you know where we have to look now? It's here. We have a Mabel. A Mabel under construction for Azuros. He's going to have to defend it carefully, and I think he might have just... Yeah, look, you can see for a second he was power stored there. He's now recovering. But defending that Mabel, if they're going to come back, that Mabel is going to be what does it. And we have a massive fight here. Fatty on fatty action. Some people will pay a lot to see that. But there are also chickens involved. What an interesting mix of things that is. But this is pretending to be a family-friendly channel, so instead of making strange things that might or might not be innuendo, we will look at what's actually going on strategically as these fatties kite back and these chickens are losing hit points as a result. Coda being perhaps a little too aggressive with these units, but they'll just die to this fatty as MF falls back and doesn't just throw his units away needlessly. This triple chicken force might do something if it's microed well. The monkey doesn't get very far for Coda. And in come the chickens, but the fatties are correctly kiting back, as you would expect. And those chickens, therefore, might not get very far. And 2 chickens against 3 fat boys on their own? Maybe. With a brick screen in front, my money is absolutely 100% on the fatties. And where's that nuke going? It's going here. And you can see why. If I zoom out and hold down Control Shift, you can see that there is 110, 120k reclaim in that area. Getting rid of that would be amazing. But we have to watch these chickens as they fall back from the fatties. And the fatties are advancing again. The chickens are fleeing. Again, the chickens turn. Will the fatties kite back? Quick check over there. Look at all that delicious reclaim. Suddenly it's not there anymore as the nuke goes up. There was 120k there. There's now 40k there. So that's 80k reclaim taken out by a nuke. Is it worth it? Some people disagree. Would Azuros have made use of it? Looking at these NGs, yes he would. So that could be decent. The chickens have got into range of one of the fatties and shot it down. But the wave of Corsairs from SabDex comes in. Okay, they're actually going to take the fatties. Nice, nice. Actually, are they? That chicken has died before we could get the last shot off, and this one isn't really. Yes, they are. Down go the 2 fatties, but there's a third one in here from MF, and the chickens are cleared up as the Corsairs from SabDex do the work. So, bit of a no man's land there. Bit of a no-score draw as both sides lose significant resources, but North team have been building up their eco and South team haven't had a chance yet. There is now a 50% eco lead for the North team. However, how's that Mabel coming? Where is it? There it is. Well, Azuros is 40% of the way to a Mabel. If they're going to come back, I'm going to say it again, it's going to be in that, and there is still a vast amount of reclaim despite the nuke that these NGs could pick up, and Azuros is absolutely going for it. How much reclaim has Azuros picked up this game? He has picked up 253k reclaim. Barekat also doing well on that front. That's good for Jim, who might need to focus on reclaim more. My trainer often tells me off for not reclaiming enough in late game, and here is a good example of why it matters. 5 GCs from Willow coming in to deny that reclaim though. And again, what's Azuros got to stop them? He doesn't really have much. A Mega can beat 1 GC one-on-one, a Mega can even beat 2 GCs one-on-one. But it has to be microed carefully. Jim has stopped moving forward, and that's right, he's going to have to keep it in range. But this is quite clever from Willow. He's falling back with the damage GC, inciting the Mega to pursue it, while these GCs head south, and 1 chicken is not going to be a match for the remaining 4 GCs. However, we do still have air from Barekat, and that gun is going to rain down some fire on them, and not being lured by this GC, the crab comes south. Another chicken out from Azuros. Maybe 50% now, says Aurelia, and they are not wrong. And the GC that's heading towards the Mava, that's the focus of the restos. There's a lot of flak in there, and it is hurting the restos. The restos turning it. Good, good. They should definitely handle this flak before they go back to trying to handle the GC, otherwise they will be neutralized very easily. Another crab here from Jim, and the GCs here are going down. There's only 1 of these left. A fatty here from Azuros, and this GC goes down. Fatty survives. The Mavor is still up and running. It's now on nearly 60%. This GC goes down as both crabs are still alive. Will the Mavor survive? Will the Mavor go up? There's still that huge eco deficit now for the South team, but they're putting it all into this Mavor. This Tsar might be interesting. They do have air control. Do they still have air control? Let's have a quick ASF count. Barekat has 84 ASFs on the field, and SabDex has only 38, so yes. And that's not even counting the massive AA power of the Restorers, which you can see over here taking out the GCs. Is there a way back for South Team with the Mavor? I think there might just be. How's that nuke doing? Well, that nuke is loaded again, but Willow has not thought of anywhere useful to fire it yet, and I can understand why. Most of it is going to be defended. This is quite a large brick army now, but there is a Mega here, there is a Fatty here, and I think Azuros will be able to hold most of his eco here if he uses them right. He's taken some bird power off the Mavor. He has stopped building the Mavor to get another defensive Fatty up. Is that a mistake? I don't know. You tell me. Azuros, very high rated. He knows what he's doing. And he's getting up banks and banks of Oblivions under shields to stop these bricks. There's already a decent amount of T2 static RT to stop the Fatty. And the Mega and this Fatty are doing the work. In comes Barekat's air defense. Over here, the GCs are still trickling in, but there's more than enough XPs from Jim to hold them back. So this is where we got to look. But the lines of point defense are going down, the lines of RT are going down, there is still a lot here. And out come the Restorers, but it is Coder who is bringing in all the anti-air now, and it's doing good work. And there isn't much anti-air here for South Team, and so this might be SabDex's chance. That said, Barekat is definitely going to win the air fight, but he hasn't got any restos left after all the anti-air. And we have a sneaky little monkey coming in to try and take out the Mavor from the side from Coda. And immediately, all these 3 XPs, the Mega, the 2 Fatties, prioritize the monkey before it can get to the Mavor, as the Tsar, finished from Barekat, flies over and the monkey goes down. That Mavor is safe for now. The Tsar is flying in. These XPs will be a nice choice for that Tsar now that more of the AA has gone down. As more and more shields going up over the Mavor is now still not being built. As the defensive shields are being thrown up, but that looks like the shadow of a massive Corsair snipe, and indeed it is. The Corsairs come in, there are 2 shields protecting the Mavor. But is that enough Corsair? Yes it is, it goes through, and the Mavor is down. The Mavor is not finished, and that is the last hope, I think, for South Team. Azuros agrees and resigns instantly, and what hope? What hope do South Team have? Their Mavor is down. There are waves and waves of experimenters pushing across the map towards them. The Tsar is down, we can see its wreck there, as in walk. And there's, as if to add insult to injury, I'm seeing Tech 3 artillery raining down, and I can see it launching on the minimap, it's Willows. Raining down on this. What can South Team do? I'm going to guess that with Azuros gone, they're going to resign, and they do resign. Look at that. Victory for North Team with an amazing coordinated effort from Willows GC's MF's push and SabDex's air snipe, which is not to do down anybody else in that. Everybody in that 7v7 fought well. What a game. South Team had an early lead, I think, but the pressure from North Team was relentless. And when the Mavor Foundation finally went down at the end, it was just too much. Tell me what you thought in the comments below. While you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and obey. I'm TheCommissar. I will see you next time.